original American Indian. And so when I had a divination done many, many years ago, they said that I was Ewe. Ewe are the people of Ghana and Togo, Benin, and Nigeria. And I said, well, how can I be an Ewe when I know for a fact that my people were American Indian? The original ones, black. And they said, the Vodou laugh like us, they are us. We are their relatives. They have personalities like us. And they laughed and they said, my son, don't you realize that all of the tribes of the American Indian are direct blood related to the tribes of Africa? Mm-hmm. And all over the world, those tribes in Oceania, Fiji, and Samoa were all one people. The people of China, if you go back, and I can give you anyone links to that, they just contact me at Mu Kofi on Facebook, and Ra, one word, Mu, one word, Kofi on Facebook, and I can give you the links. And all of the Asians were black. If you go to Cambodia, to Angkor Wat, you'll see these 30, 40-foot monuments of black people. And so when the white man went there, he said, oh, these have to be their slaves. Well, who in the hell makes a monument 30 foot long of a slave with a crown on? It's stupid. Ridiculous. You know, they'd rather say anything. They'd rather say that the gods were aliens rather than saying that they were black.
Okay. I'm just going to bring us back a bit because there's so much that we can discuss and that we're discussing. Just wanted to, to structure it a little bit. So according to, in a voodoo framework, what is the purpose of an individual's life?
Okay, the purpose of an individual's life is to raise their vibration. Mm-hmm. We are all on a quest to get back to the Supreme Being, the Creator, if you will. Okay, and so we have to come here and undergo these trials, and it's almost like a minefield where mines are planted that will blow up if you step on them. Well, the key to this game, if you will, is to navigate that minefield without getting blowed up. Mm-hmm. Okay, so and so we come here, and when you don't get it right and raise your spirituality, you have to come here again, and you have to keep coming here until you get it right. And some of us, though, however, are here to help others, like yourself. You have chosen to come back here, and you're only going to fall into that which is your destiny by default. You see, you're going to end up, you always had to end up doing what you're doing because it is your destiny. Go ahead, brother.
Let me add one thing. Also, down here in this physical world, we come here to renew ourselves because in the spirit world, we're getting so old. So this physical world is also a way for us to refresh ourselves so we can go back.
Agreed. Go ahead.
Okay, so sorry, when you say refresh yourself, you mean, and you're talking about raising your vibrations.
I'm talking about that too. Spirit world, we're very old.
Okay.
Billions and billions of years old. And we come here also to renew ourselves, refresh ourselves.
Okay.
Not only spiritually, but as concerning age also. It's like a birth.
Okay, so this leads on to what I wanted to ask about initiation. This is a word that you hear commonly used of in traditions that are more related to nature, so sort of African traditional religions. What is the purpose of initiation in these traditions or in this path of raising your vibrations and, developing and fulfilling your purpose in life?
Well, there are several different kinds of initiation, but basically what people are talking about, for the most part, when they talk about initiation into the African traditions, is becoming a priest or aligning yourself with some sort of discipline that tradition offers. Not all people are supposed to be initiated. And it's a fallacy to think that once you get into African spirituality, you're supposed to initiate. Initiation is for those who have a special purpose. Priests, teachers, healers, okay? And in the past, for every so many thousand people, there was a priest. For every so many villages, there was a teacher. For every so many women who gave childbirth, there were herbalists who were, for lack of a better word, they helped the women to birth. What is it? Midwives. And so they would be initiated into that discipline and be able to help their people. In Africa, especially amongst the Ewe, we have what we call suku schools, where especially we focus on the young women because the women are the carriers of our traditions. Women are very, very, very important in Vodou. And we have these schools for the young girls, and the young girls go and they learn all mati, which is mathematics. They learn everything that they need, but they also learn how to live in harmony with the cosmos. When they're finished and when they graduate from these suku schools, they just go out. They go out to the world and they live their life. So not everybody is supposed to live a life in a shrine, being a priest like myself.
Okay. To the next brother, when you mentioned a little while ago that we come here to renew ourselves in some form to get back to the spiritual world. What I would like for our listeners to hear, well, this is my question. On that side, I know since you're saying that you must have some links on what happens there. Can you speak on that?
Yes.
Repeat the question, please.
I said, you said a little while ago that we come here to renew ourselves because we're getting old in the spiritual world, right?
Yes.
Well, what I'm asking, and also for our listeners, is since you make such a comment that you must have a know of what happens there, what is happening there on the other side, if so to say. Can you speak on that?
Oh, yes, sure. So in the spirit world, we have more us in the spirit world than in the physical world, because the spirit world came first.
Mm-hmm.
The physical world is a world that was created by Maolisa. Maolisa is the creator and the creatress, and it's a world that's created for. Because we're aging in the physical, in the spirit world, so we have to. It's a way of refreshing ourselves.
Okay.
No, I wanted to say something. I was at a ceremony, and the spirits came through and said, tomorrow morning, do this ritual for this individual. They gave us the person's name, and they said that the person was graduating. They were leaving Earth and going to become an ancestor. Okay, so there's a reciprocal relationship between this world and the spiritual world. Okay, we, as Togbi Sa said, that there are more of us there, and they minister to this world. You see, we talk a lot. We're taught about angels and this thing. We have ancestors, and we have Vodou energy, Vodou power. Okay, there are no such thing as angels, but yet I hear a lot of people.
We understand that.
I hear a lot of people in this tradition saying that, because what they're doing is they're acquiescing, they're bowing, compromising their tradition and bowing to the common schools of thought, which is a violation. Okay, so in the spirit world, we minister, I have been to the spirit world. Once you work closely with your ancestors and your priests, you can ask them to take you, and they'll take you there. You see, it's all it is it's another dimension. There's a door that opens, and you walk through that door, you can be in the spirit world. And I have gone several times. and come back. And many priests can tell you this. We are directly connected. Without the spirit world, we don't survive. Without the physical world, they don't survive.
Okay.
So, sorry, could you clarify the difference between the Vodun energy and the ancestor spirit?
Okay. Ancestor spirits are more powerful than the Vodou. Okay. Ancestral spirits are the children of the Supreme Being. So the human being, okay, is the totality of the science and knowledge, okay, of the Creator. So the human being is there's the Creator, and then there's humankind. There's nobody more powerful than you. Okay, so the Vodou are a system of collective energy that is here to assist the humans in their path.
Okay. Okay. So I wanted us to go back to the teachings that you got and to look at where did we come from according to the traditions, the African traditions that you studied. Where did we come from as people? Where is our origins?
In terms of on the earth or before that?
In terms of we'll start
Well,
with before that first.
I'd say, well, in terms of on the earth and before that, as in, before we got sort of liquid and gas, in all the states. I mean, if we was in a gaseous state, before we got hit into the solid, as in the physical.
All right. The earth is the center of the universe, according to all of the spirits, the Vodou spirits. We can go into that a little later, but in terms of the origins of man, it's very different than what a lot of us have been told. Africa is not the origin of humankind. Okay? All the African tribes, including those in Nubia, the traditional people will tell you that they migrated from somewhere else. And so according to Yahweh cosmology, Hu is the first word in creation used to create the physical universe. If you go to Egypt and you go look at the Sphinx, okay, the people of Sudan are the people who built that, okay? And those people of Sudan are directly blood related to the Airways and the Akans, okay? Khan means first. Kukal Khan of the Mayans means the same thing as the word Chan, as the word Genghis Khan. And so you'll see these threads that go throughout the planet Earth, all the traditional people. And all the people talk about a migration and a flood. There was no flood. There was no Noah. There was the sinking of the continent of Mu. And I know that is extremely controversial. But then you have to understand the cosmology of the airway people, who are the keepers of secrets. You'll have each tribe, be it the original Egyptians, okay, which is a misnomer. There was no original Egyptians. There was the people of Sudan. There was the people of East Africa. There was the airways. They all migrated. The Zulus were there. The Dogons were there. Egypt did not consist of one land. Later, okay, the real knowledge of Egypt, the real Egyptians left Egypt over 6,000 years ago. I repeat, the real Egyptians left Egypt over 6,000 years ago. And what all this stuff that we're reading about from Egypt was written in the last 4,000 or 5,000 years. So who wrote it? That begs the question, who wrote it? Invaders wrote it, okay? And so why did the Necheru, who were the spirits that we had in the beginning, why did they shut down Egypt? Okay? It's because Egypt was no longer necessary. And the rituals are dead. But yet you have people going back, walking around with ankhs, going around. They don't answer to that anymore. And I know that sounds strange, but if you go to the original tribes of Africa, and you'll see, they don't walk around with ankhs. And these are the people who were the people of Egypt.
The ankh is not one of our original symbols.
That's right. You see? And so what we have is we have a distorted history. We have we knew that, and I'm going to the origin in a minute, but we knew that we were the first people. We know that that is undisputable. However, who were the first and where we came from is a mystery. Even the Zulu will tell you they didn't originate in South Africa. And they were a great, great, great nation. They said that they migrated. And so now go and study the history of the Ewe people, people of Benin, Togo, Ghana, and they will tell you that they migrated from the lost continent of Mu. Now, I thought that was outrageous. And when I say to people, I talk about Mu, they say, well, you heard that from Colonel James Churchward, a white boy who wrote this in the 1800s. So I say, okay, so the white boy he changed the entire cosmology of the Ewe people, who are ancient people? No, we had this cosmology. I talk to Vodou, who are ageless, and they tell me that we came from Mu. And so when the Ewe people, when they gather together, the first thing they do is they say to each other, the kings say, how are the children of Mu? In what condition do we find the children of Mu? And if you've ever seen Ewes dance in other African tribes, and they flap their arms, and they do that, they're talking about their migration from Mu. That's what it's about. And they have dances. It's all entwined in their ritual. It's in their, the Vodou, you'll see the word Mu in every language on the planet. And the Mayans said they're from Mu. Well, isn't it funny that many West African tribes, including the Ewes, say that they were the Mayans? Mm-hmm. And so they migrated from Mu. Mu sunk into, and that's where you get the flood story. And they migrated into the Americas. Now, the United Nations did a study of the people called the Washita people in America. And they have, in America, in Mexico, huge 12-foot statues and heads of black people. They're called the Olmecs. Mm-hmm. And they say that the Olmecs lived all over the Americas. Well, the Vodou say that the Olmecs and the Mayans were the first people. And those are the same people that you find in the Sudan. And those are the same people that you find all over Africa. And those are the same people who were the original Europeans. All of Europe used to be black, okay, up until the 1700s. Russia was a black country ruled by blacks up until 1761 or 62. And so this migration is part of the entire, it is integral in the entire cosmology of an ancient people. And the word Mu you'll find, and even in Egypt, the word Mu means water. Why would it mean water? Because what happened to it? It sunk where? Into the water. You see? And all the clans, the bird clans, the dog clans, the leopard clans, all over the planet Earth, all the original people have totems of these same animals. And so and so we have a Vodou, for instance, called Vodou Mu. We have a Vodou, a spirit, called Vodou Maya. And Maya, you see? Mm. And that's, they get the word Mary from and all this. We have a Vodou named Vodou Asia. We have a Vodou named Vodou Lao Tse. You find these words in China. You see? And it just goes on and on and on and on. Everywhere we went, we named our land after. We have a Vodou called Vodou China. And now you have a land called China. You see?
Okay. I wanted to ask about the different ethnic groups in Africa. So people would see different ethnic groups practicing traditions, and they'll be like, it's a different religion. Can you give us an idea as to the similarities of the way in which the different ethnic groups, the similarities in their practices, or how they are related to each other?
Every single indigenous people, real people on this planet, were originally black. That includes the South Africans and the South Americans. When you go to South America, you'll find people, mummies with dreadlocks. And so the planet was seeded with one type of people. And they had one cosmology, which is called Hu Yahweh. And this word Yahweh has later been distorted and it became Yahweh. Okay, Hu is the supreme being in its most secretive state, and Yahweh is the Afa, or Ifa, the spirit that knows all, with our all-knowing spirit. And all traditional, original people, I don't care if you go to, again, Polynesia, okay, where you go to Tibet, you go to American Indians, and the chiefs wrap themselves the same way with the right shoulder being exposed, just like in all over Africa. They all pour libation of either liquor or water. They pour it on the ground, or they pour it into a reciprocal, either a bowl or something like that. They all light incense to call their ancestors. They all use fire. Fire represents air. Incense represents smell. Water, pouring in on liquor, pouring in libation, represents water. And then we have the earth, which is either a stone or a seashell. And so these are the four elements used in creation. And all peoples have that similarity. You can go to any traditional people on the earth and you'll see the swastika. You'll see symbols of the cross, because the cross represents north, south, east, and west, the four corners of the planet, and the four energies. And so you'll have these similarities. We all have ancestral veneration. All traditional, original peoples work with their ancestors.
Okay,
They call them ancestors.
Sorry. What are the tools that people use to connect to their ancestors? I know earlier we were talking about divination. Can you give us an idea of how this practice works in terms of people connecting with their ancestors?
Okay. The way to contact your ancestors has been set in stone for millions of years. You use the four elements. You use fire, water, air, and earth. And so that's a telephone. Just like you can pick up a cell phone or a cordless phone and you can call someone in another country, I can put a bowl on a piece of cloth, white cloth, pour water into it, light a candle, a white unscented candle, and offer my ancestors some fruit, a piece of fruit, and light an incense because they like smells. And that opens a door, that opens a dimension, and I can call my ancestors. And believe me, I have been teaching people for years how to do this. And many, many people, I've taught them how to contact their ancestors and get answers. And they call me back. Even yesterday, a gentleman called me and said that the ancestors told him something about his wife, his estranged wife, the condition she was in. And so he called his father, who is a pastor in a church, and she goes to the church his father is a pastor at, and the father started complaining about the wife and telling him all the same thing that the ancestors. And so every human being on this planet has the ability and the right to contact ancestors and to get answers from them.
So it's all it is a telephone. It's called an altar. It's the oldest telephone in the world.
Absolutely.
And you can contact your ancestors, you talk to them, you ask a question, they'll answer you back.
Okay. So we were speaking earlier. You mentioned that the only beings on this planet are the human beings, and you were referring to the kind of different spirits in terms of positive and negative spirits that are on the planet. Can you give us an idea as to how these spirits work in terms of a African traditional framework and in other religious traditions such as Christianity and Islam, and how important it is for people to become more to start practicing African traditional way of life as opposed to dealing with the deities involved in Christianity and Islam and other.
Before you answer that question, just make an announcement there. For those who's listening there, we will open the lines at 3:30. So if you want to call and ask any questions, the line will be open at 3:30. And if you want to go live, we're going to put you live. So when you call, we're going to do this live. Yes, so continue to answer the question, please.
Yes. As I said, that when we die, we can contact our spirits. When a person dies, that's one of the things priests do a lot, is we contact the spirit on behalf of people, of the dead person. There are good spirits and there are bad ones. There are good humans and there are bad. When humans die, if you had a good character and I contact you, it's going to be a positive experience. But if you were Pookie from the corner and you were a drug addict or a murderer or a thief, well, that's what you're going to get when you contact that spirit. That spirit is able to, because of the knowledge that we in this tradition know, the knowledge that we have of the spirit world, we know how to communicate and work with spirits, and we know their abilities. Well, there are many people who have bad character, who work in this, they call it voodoo, not voodoo, because if I, as a voodoo priest, start to do some craziness, some madness, I lose my voodoo. They will just leave me. When I call them, they will not answer. But because I have the knowledge of calling spirits, I don't always have to call the good ones. I can call those ones who used to hang on the corner, if you understand what I'm saying. The gangbang. And they will actually go and they will do my bidding, and they can actually kill people. Spirits can actually kill, you see. And so this is where you have a lot of Santeria, and you have Haitian voodoo, and the brother right next to me is Haitian. And I have nothing against Haitian people. I love my people. But many Haitians have come to me to learn this, and they don't want to learn it. They want to kill. Because it's been, and I tell them, no, you're talking to the wrong person. Because it's been so amongst the Jamaican Obia people and the Haitians and in Ghana and Nigeria, where they just use this power to kill. And so people say, well, it must be a wicked power. No, I can give you a hammer and you can build a house. But you can take that same hammer and slam it in somebody's skull and kill them. It depends on the person who's holding the hammer. The character of the individual practitioner dictates whether they use this spiritual power for good or for bad. And that's what has happened with the world. We were given a toolbox. In a toolbox is a hammer. Ancient Ghanaians say voodoo is a hammer. That's what they say. So we're in the toolbox, and in the toolbox you got to have a hammer, or else you can't do anything. And so you can use that hammer to fix things, or you can use that hammer to destroy. And so because our people have, many of our people have fallen characters now, okay? We still have the knowledge is still out there. And so we are using it for wicked purposes. And so the good spirits will not work with you. But there are any number of wicked spirits that are more than happy to work with you in your evil doings.
Okay, so just branching on from that, how can you link the spiritual, what we're referring to this spiritual side of things, to the problems going on for African people all around the world? How is it seems as if they're almost inextricably linked.
Well, we are a spiritual people first. We're spirits preachers, and we have a direct line to our ancestors. And the ancestors help us to stay in balance with the universe. It's just part of how we were hardwired. If you don't deal with your, for instance, I did a post yesterday or a day or two ago about marriage. And as a priest, I see marriages break up, and not only marriages, legal marriages, but unions. Because once you sleeping with a person, the spirits think of that person, consider that person your wife or your husband, if you're cohabitating. And many relationships are breaking up. And I grew up in a neighborhood, I grew up in the hood in Boston, in the neighborhood where most kids didn't even know their fathers. Well, that's a big problem in our communities. The ease at which black people can kill each other out here, not only here, in Africa too. Mm-hmm. And in Ghana, you have, in Nigeria, you have Muslims killing Christians. I mean, not by one or two. They kill a whole village at a time. And so millions and millions and millions of people have been murdered in the name of religion. And we never had a religion. I don't care what any of these babalaos, I don't care what any of these voodoo priests, I don't care what any of these so-called Akan priests tell you. This is not a religion. This is a system of balancing yourself with the universe. We do not worship these spirits. We are the gods, and we recognize that they work for us. Mm-hmm. And so when you don't stay in balance, my sister, okay, for instance, if you have a child or your parents told you, when you go out here, call me on the phone or let me know, you've heard this a million times, let me know when you get there. And then people say, well, a person goes missing, and the person goes missing and nobody knows where they were because the last time we saw them, they left for their home, but they never called when they got there. So we don't know what time they disappeared. Mm-hmm. You see, they went outside of that a security system that all families and loved ones have. And so when we go outside of our natural balancing system, which is our ancestors, okay, how do you imprint on a child? How does, my grandmother was probably the most beautiful, to me, person I've ever seen in my life. And she imprinted on me, and she instilled on me the values that my family have held for thousands of years, and our food system. And no one since the day my grandmother died 30 years ago, and I haven't tasted food that good because it was done with love. Mm-hmm. I haven't tasted food that good ever since. You see? And so this is how we pass on culture. You see? And so and part of it is our ancestors. And so when you turn your back on your ancestors, you fall out of balance with the universe, and you have all kinds of problems. The only way out of the labyrinth, the quagmire, the labyrinth that we're in, that we find ourselves lost in, is to go back to our balancing system, which is the ancestral tradition. When we ran this earth, when we ran this earth, when black man ruled every single country on this earth, we had one tradition. Mm-hmm. That is Uyewe Vodun. No one on this planet can dispute that.
That's right.
So a thinking person would deduce, well, we ran the whole planet. This civilization we're in can't even figure out how we did things back then. We were so advanced, and we had Huyewe. All systems, be it Islam, okay, be it Christianity, Judaism, Masonry, were built on the tenets of Huyewe Voodoo. The problem is that they have been distorted, and we have to clean it up, and we have to be absolutely adamant about not allowing any type of infiltration whatsoever or compromise with this tradition, and we will find ourselves being restored. But listen, if you start contacting your ancestors, there's a man, I believe he said he was going to listen to this show. I taught him how to contact his ancestors the other day, and he said, whoa, all the paranormal activity ever since I started. I said, that's your ancestors telling you they're listening, brother. You see, you will start to see that you have power beyond this. So we have the power, we're not using it. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So when you contact your ancestors, you want to contact your spiritually cultivated ancestors and your ancestresses. So even though we tell the Voodoo to do we order the Voodoo to do what we want them to do, still have to live in order, divine order. Because this tradition is so clean, if you violate, they're not going to work with you. And for example, a violation could be you go ahead and sleep with somebody's wife, and then you go to a Voodoo, they're not going to work with you because that's a violation.
You can call them from now till doomsday; they will not respond.
And your ancestors will not even show up because you are in violation. This is a clean tradition. You have to live your life clean.
Agreed. So by learning these things, and my brother here is one of my students that I taught, and he learned. See, and by learning these things, when you violate, they will let you know that you violated. And that allows you to tweak your comportment, your conduct, so that you can do better the next time. There's nobody that you have to pray to and say, oh, I'm sorry, and beg forgiveness. That's not what this is about.
That's right.
We are God. We are the children of the Creator. We don't pray to nobody. But yet you have a lot of people in this tradition talking about prayers. You know why? Because they're buckling under the pressure of everybody who wants religion.
In your spiritually cultivated ancestors, for example, if you have a problem in your life like an addiction, like a drug addiction or any kind of addiction, the reason why you have that addiction is because you are vibing low. Once you start contacting your ancestors, they elevate you spiritually. You give up the addiction.
We have healed so many people from addiction. We have cured cancer. Any real priest can make these same claims. You see, we have the power. Yet, why are our people, even in Africa, going to doctors? If I had the time, I could put person after individual after individual after individual who we have taken the wicked spirits off of them, who were sitting up in mental institutions and going in and out of insane asylums, labeled as being what they call it, bipolar. And for years they have been under 7, 8 different kinds of medication, and they come to a shrine, not only my shrine, but many other shrines, and boom, one day it's gone. Because mental illness is spirit possession. Unless you've been hit in the head or had a car accident and a piece of your brain is damaged, mental illness is spirit possession.
Okay. I think we asked that question again. We're going to ask it again about how do people, who's interested in contacting their ancestors on the Voodoo way, what would be the first steps that they need to take?
Okay. The first step they need to take is to understand that it is absolutely imperative for them to be in contact with their ancestors. And the minute you're out of contact with your ancestors, you are out of balance with the entire universe, not the planet, the universe. Because there is one universal consciousness that we are directly tied to, but we have chosen to sever that link ourselves by not contacting the ancestors. Okay? When you have a car, yes, you have tires, but you have to go and balance those tires. So you have to balance your life. And so that's the first step. The second step is to get divination done. Okay? And the reason why you do divination is so many of our people, I would say 98% of our people are laden down with wicked spirits. In some way or another, or have someone working some type of juju or magic or witchcraft against them. Unbeknownst to them, they're walking around with all this negative energy on their shoulders. Okay? And first you pick it up by watching a lot of these movies. You know, the white man's movies have spells in them. Okay? Don't think that they don't. And a lot of the food that we eat has spells in it. Okay? And so you have to have a divination done, or you should have a divination done to make sure that you're clean. If you're not clean, then the good priest, and I emphasize that because there are a lot of bad ones out there, but the good priest will then help you clear the blockages that you have. Now you're clean. Now you go to your ancestors in a clean state, and you buy a bowl, a glass bowl. Am I on video here?
Yep. But they could hear it. They could hear it, but we can see it.
Buy a ceramic or a glass bowl. Regular glass of water. It takes about $5 to contact the ancestors. You buy a candle, white candle. I buy the ones in the glass, but make sure it doesn't have any kind of marks on it, just a plain one. A white, non-scented candle. A glass or a ceramic bowl, like a cereal bowl where you eat cereal in. A piece of fruit, banana or orange or apple. A incense, you light an incense stick, sweet incense. There's no law as to what type of incense, but sweet. They like frankincense. They like other type of incense. A white cloth that everything goes on a small table. And you take a shower first to present yourself in a clean manner. And you can even take the incense and put it under your feet and around your body to clean your aura. And when you light the candle, when you light the incense, and you call your ancestors 3 times, that turns it on. That opens the door. That's the telephone call. And you start to talk to them. You talk about what's on your mind. You don't beg them for anything. They're your uncles and your aunts and your brothers and your sisters. Okay? You tell them what you're going through. You tell them that you want knowledge. You tell them that you want, if it's finances you need, listen, you need a job, they'll open the way for you. You see? And all of a sudden, I promise you, you start doing that. And there's a way to do it. So I have it on my Facebook, but I'll send it to you I have your email address, and anyone can go again on my Facebook page, Mu Kofi, R-A, one word, M-U, another word, and Kofi, K-O-F-I, a third word. And you can just hit me up, and then I'll send you how to do it. I promise you, when you do this, you will start to see. When I started doing it, I would go into a room and the lights would go on before I touched anything. The television in I have an entire house, so the television downstairs used to go on at 10:30 every night. Used to freak me out. I wanted to run out the house in the beginning. But then I realized, wait a minute, I've been calling them. And then I contacted someone who had more understanding than me at that time, and I started understanding that they're answering me. So then once I acknowledged to them, okay, I understand this is what you're doing, then it stopped. You see?
Also, since this is a clean tradition, these are your ancestors, make sure your house is clean before you contact them.
Yeah, they don't like dirt and clutter. And make sure you haven't been engaged in sex without cleansing yourself. If a man is sleeping with a woman that is not his woman, Okay, suppose you have an encounter. You know, this is not religion. So supposing you have an encounter, do not go to the ancestors for 3 days. Okay? Because you brought a different person's energy into the mix.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be offending them. You know, you're out here bunning and then you're bringing it to us. They don't like that. You see? So it is a clean tradition, and you do have to take precaution to bathe beforehand. Some people like to go in the morning and before they eat. You brush your teeth. You don't go with bad breath. That's why you have incense. They like sweet smells. You know, you bathe, you present yourself in a clean manner, and it works. It has changed my life, I can tell you that. And I therefore have changed many, 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 many lives. And it is the most rewarding thing that I've ever done. Help people find themselves. Besides that, you can ask them we have the ability for those who are born in Africa, who know their families, they don't have to do this. But we have the ability to call the ancestors and ask them what tribe we belong to. Mm-hmm. Yes, you would have to know the names of the tribe, but they'll tell you who they are and what tribes you belong to.
Mm-hmm. Talking about linking the ancestors, now I know for some people who's going to want to try it, they most probably think about the fear factor. And as you said, the first time when you started doing it, it kind of like freaked you out for a little while till you understand. And you did call them, and then that kind of like left you. What about the people who is going to? Because some people will feel very fearful the very first time. What is that? What kind of reaction will that have towards the ancestors if the person is frightened?
You would need someone like either myself or someone who has been through it to talk to. Because I know when I first started and things started happening, it scared the living daylights out of me. One day my ancestors showed, I'm 6'6" and a martial artist. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was into the gang life when I was young, so I didn't fear a whole lot. Mm-hmm. But when they showed up in the room, Jack, it scared the living daylights out of me. So so I was like, okay, I know who it is. But it's good always to be coached and to understand, where we priests, if anything goes wrong with a person, we can help them. So you're not alone in this. And it's not so scary. The ancestors will not try to scare you. What happened with me was I was going to my altar and I put a challenge out to them, and I was like, man, this crap don't work. I've been doing this for so long, and y'all don't want to show up. That's it. I don't believe. And boom. And so you careful what you ask for. That's all I can say.
All right. Okay, we had a question. You had a text question here, and said, can we ask you to speak a little on Palo, P-A-L-O, Palo.
Palo Mayombe. Palo Mayombe is another form of the African traditions. Now, remember this, that these traditions are not African. Mm-hmm. These traditions are black man traditions. And black man, the creator, the Vodou say that when the creator created the planet, the creator seeded the earth in the water. And the water encompassed the entire planet at first. Mm-hmm. And when the water receded, so did the seed. Everything that exists on this planet was seeded. It was water, it was trees. I've said this before, to people talk about, Africa is the beginning. And I said, look, the Creator says, and the Vodou say that the Creator seeded the earth in the water, not in one place. The water covered the expanse of the earth. That's fact. Mm-hmm. Okay? It doesn't matter where the first tree grew. What matters is that there's trees every damn place you look on this planet. You got trees. Okay? That's the tradition is not African, it's black man. There's only one people on this earth. We're earth people. Africa just means children of Ra. The Afu is the flesh. Ra is the creator. Ra is the creator, and Ka, Afu Ra Ka, means earth. Ka means earth, or it means soul. Okay, so that's what Africa means. So it is our original tradition, is what it is. And, so when you talk about African tradition, if anybody is interested, then it just means going back to the original state. Simple. But you repeat your question, please, because I got a call at the door.
Oh, okay. That was the question about Paulo that we were asking for the audience member. But continue moving on. So, would you say that this is the real problem with Africans practicing Christianity, Islam? Would you say this is the real problem? This removal from their ancestors. This is the biggest problem with it.
That is the paramount problem. Islam is 1,200 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Islam took root in East Africa, spread to it took root in East Africa and spread to the Middle East. People call themselves Arabs today, in charge of Islam. If you go to Mecca, you will find
we have a live caller here for you.
Okay, so let me just finish this. If you go to Mecca, you will find idols. The first 3 idols that were in the Kaaba at Mecca were the 3 daughters of Allah, who was one of our spirits at first. Allah was never a Muslim spirit. Allah was a traditional black man, a traditional spirit of Vodun.
Okay.
Before the people changed to Islam. And in Mecca, you'll find that in the Kaaba, you'll find the yoni, which is a symbol of the vagina, okay, of the goddess, and people kiss it. So what are they doing? They're kissing, literally, not to be vulgar, but they're kissing the pussy. That's what they're doing, of the god.
Okay, we have a live caller here. Hi, live caller, are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm
Okay,
here.
ask your question.
Yeah, hi, I'm not... Do you repeat the
I can't hear.
please?
Can you hear Rami?
No.
Can you hear him?
Yes, I can hear.
All right, go on, ask your question.
Okay, I'm an African of African origin. My name is Kwame. I'm of the Anti tribe. I just want to know where the brother can tell me a little bit more about where the Santi fits in, or whether the Akana, the predominant tribe as well. And I'm thinking...
Sorry, caller, we can't really hear you too well. Could you please speak
can't
louder?
hear
Okay,
Okay, we would translate the question after, because we think there's a little problem with the... so we'll translate the question after to you, but caller, even we can't hear you. Can you please speak a bit louder?
Okay, I'll try and shout. Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, great. Listen, I'm of African origins originally. My name is Kwame. I'm of the Fante tribe. I'm thinking today of going into the Metu Netta initiation, and what I'm hearing from the brother is making me think what's the right way to be, as it were. So I'm thinking, what do you think about the Metu Netta initiation system? And one more thing, the term ancestor, is it ancestor or ancestor? The right terminology.
He said, I heard him say that he was a Fanti from Ghana or West Africa, and that he's thinking about going to Mecca. Okay. Well, I'm not here to disparage anybody, but I'm going to hold up real Vodun. Okay? Ra Unefa Amen of the Osar Set Society has created a religion based on Kemet. It's a religion, basically. And my cousin is a priestess of the Osar Set Society. And, Ra Unefa Amen is trying to recreate Kemet, Egypt. The Vodou shut it down. None of that stuff is any good. It doesn't work. They don't answer to that. The Necheru, who are the same spirits as the Vodou, left Kemet over 6,000 years ago. And I would challenge any of these brothers and sisters to show me something that was written on the walls of Kemet that predates 6,000 years, unless you go to the Sphinx, the Who, which is the Who. You see, because anybody who understands African tradition, and I know the Fanti people well. I was married to a Fanti. They don't play with their women, by the way. They really protect their sisters. But great people. But anyone who knows this tradition knows that the penalty for revealing secrets of this tradition and revealing actual ritual is death. This is a tradition that is passed on from mother to daughter, to mother to son, to father to son, to father to daughter. Okay? You only learn this by working and living this tradition. You don't learn this from a book. Okay? I don't care who wrote the book. I don't think there are many human beings that had as much Egyptian books and research. I had 5 computers in this room at one time full of all research that I did on Kemet in Egypt years ago. I've been doing it for 30 years. I'm 57 years old, 56 years old. And I've been doing it for so long. And all of a sudden, all of my computers crashed at the same time. And then we had a flood in the house because my basement was full of Kemetic books. And I would go across the country to get a book if it had something I wanted to. And I cried tears. I mean, I cried like a baby because my whole life I thought was in it. And when I was angry, and I went to the voodoo in an angry state, and I said, how could you let this happen to me? And they said, because that stuff is all lies. That blew my mind. I had to sit back a little while and say, whoa, wait a minute. But then when I studied, the people of Kemet are the same people who are still all over Africa. You don't see these people with all these emblems and walking and talking like that. The Ashanti, the Fanti were in Kemet. The Eways were in Kemet. We are the builders of the Kemet. The Nubians were in Kemet. We built Kemet. You see? But we still practice our tradition, but Kemet was corrupted. And so our civilization doesn't fall. It doesn't go into decline unless the spirits leave. And Kemet went into decline, and yet our people are still trying to resuscitate Kemet, and it ain't going to happen. It will not happen because the Vodou do not sanction that, and they do not answer to those rituals. But if you go to any of the indigenous tribes of Africa, they can actually, you show me one of these Kemetic priests. I know many of them. I come up learning with them. My cousins teach. I mean, I've been in the martial arts. They teach so-called Kemetic martial arts. You have people talking about Kemetic yoga. There ain't 30, 40 different positions in all the walls of Kemet. So how they come up with a yoga system based on Kemet? I mean, it's all foolishness. Everybody, you see, it's a black people who have left their ancestors, and they're still trying to look for solutions without the ancestors. That's like a daughter who goes against what her mother teaches her, and then wonders why and can't explain that she has a menses. She can't explain it because she's not paying attention. She's not listening to the lessons that her mother taught her. We as a people are all out of balance. We're not going to get back in balance trying to go back to Kemet and walking and talking like Egyptians. Okay? Many, many, many so-called Afrocentric scholars and people walk around with dashikis and walk around with batakadis and walking and talking like Africans. But we're Africans all over this planet. So anything that we create is ours, is African. Be it the clothes that I have on that look they say are European. The first Europeans were black. I already did. Okay? it's an open door. Meaning, many of our people encounter wayward spirits, wicked spirit possession in a lot of different ways. We start to delve into magic. We start to delve into, we watch a lot of these, what they call demonic movies. There are no demons. There are only bad spirits. But we start to delve into that. We start to get into drugs. I had a cousin who I loved dearly. He was my age. He used to smoke crack. And one day he called me, and based on his conversation, I'm not going to go into it, I knew that he had lost his mind. Well, I know now that it was spirit possession. When you empty your mind and when you're under the control of hallucinogens, the spirits can see this. You're like a beacon going off, like a light going off in the spirit world, and it's an open door. If you leave your door open tonight, you go to bed and leave your door open, any number of animals or bad people can come into your home. And the same thing, a busy mind, a mind that is protected with the help of the ancestors, will never allow that to happen. And so we are out of balance. We don't have our security system set on, and so these spirits can enter us a lot. And so you'll see this. I see this every day amongst our people. That's one of the things that we heal the most. People coming here with mental disorders. And there was a young brother who came that was
Jean.
young brother who came, and you could see his eyes. He couldn't keep his eyes straight. They were going up into his head and all that, and talking all kinds of foolishness. And we could easily see that it was a spirit. But we do the divination anyway, and the divination came out that he was possessed by a wicked spirit. And so I called one of our warrior spirits and sent the warrior spirit to kill the wicked spirit, to get the wicked spirit out of him. And that's what happened.
Okay, just wanted to touch on a text that's coming. You can do your best to try to answer it. Somebody texted saying that they had a dream about somebody looking at them dead. So basically, can you give us an idea as to what dreams mean? But in this particular text, you're talking about a specific dream where.
Blessings, I had a dream looking at me dead. Can you explain that for me, please? Bless.
Well, he was probably astral projecting, meaning we have what we call an astral body, a spirit body, and we have a physical body. And at night, many times the spirit body separates from the physical body, and the spirit body can look down on the physical body, and you're conscious without being conscious. So you are aware of what's happening, but you believe you're sleeping, and it looks like the body's dead. And that's a whole nother topic. But we do separate. The spirit can go back and leave the physical body while you're sleeping at night and come back at any time. And adepts can do this at will. Many times I've sent my spirit body to visit. I was in Ghana. I've lived in Ghana for many years, and I sent my spirit body, once I understood how to do it, to visit my wife, and over in the United States. And she saw me, and she called me and told me she saw me standing over the bed. And, so oftentimes when this happens, it seems like your body's dead, but it's not dead.
Okay.
Okay. We're coming up to the end of our show here with you. Can you give our listeners again the details and website information how to get in touch with you?
Well, I don't have a website, but I have a Facebook page, and it's Mu Kofi on Facebook, and that's capital R-U, one word, capital M-U, the second word, and Kofi, the third word. Kofi is spelled Kofi. There's also the brother that's sitting here who's also a priest, and and Togbi Osiris is spelled Togbi. Is it one word? Two words. And Osiris, Ausar. And I admonish all of my people to stay on this path. It is the Vodou said it is the only way. In conclusion, Brother Osiris and myself did a divination the other day, and the Vodou said that there will be many of us who will not choose to go back to the ancestors, and they will be recycled. And if you know what recycle means, that means they'll be sent back to the ancestral realm. They'll die. And we're in 2012, and all the planets are in alignment for this energy, for this resurgence. A lot of our people think you can do it by opening your hands and looking up to the heavens
Ain't gonna
and live
happen.
life, and that will not happen. The Vodou said it takes work, and the first thing you have to do is contact the ancestors. And I thank you, sister, and I thank you, brother, also for allowing me this opportunity to address my brothers and sisters in the UK, and that's exciting to me.
Yeah.
You all.
Yeah, well, we will bring you back again because with what you're saying,
We
as
weren't
in
even able to finish.
exactly, because time is running. This time
we
is
were supposed to
almost
be
up on us.
yeah, it was
but
very
we will bring you back because a few things that you have talked about, especially when you talk about the Neteru, and the Neteru, as we know in the organization that we deal with, that this is the beings that's the energy that we're dealing with, the Neterus. And to hear that you're saying the Neterus is also the same as the Vodun, it's very interesting to hear that, So I know quite a lot of people who know about the Neteru now will look up where the Vodun and the Neteru links to know so they're both one and the same.
One and the same.
Okay.
They're the spirits of nature. The spirits of nature.
Okay, well, I will say, as we say in this organization, I will say, Tawahat, thank you for coming on the air and talking to the people here in the UK and also worldwide, and also to all our internet listeners who's listening. I see our board has got so many. I'm not even going to take time to call, but it's quite a few from the United States and mostly here in England.
They can get on to Facebook and hit me up there. But I have a question for you, brother.
Of course.
Are you practice? Are you Nuapu? Is that how you say it?
That's right. We practice Nuapu, yeah.
He was.
I used to be in Nuwabia.
Well, from the perspective what we teach, all whether you come from, all of us with the same color hair, as you say, black people, we are all Nuwabians, but we just don't know it yet because we all come from the same seed and we all looking, as you said, to get back to where we come from. So the many different names we might use, but the end result is all one and the same. Okay, like I say, thank you again. I see. I'm just looking at the board again. The board is just shooting up. Like we just got France in the house now.
We just wanted to address. Somebody just gave a final question that somebody had. They wanted to ask what ways can someone protect themselves from bad spirits? Maybe this is something that they can contact you personally, or you can see if you have 2 minutes.
Once you set up, make sure you're clean, and it takes a reading. But once you set up that ancestral altar, they won't allow any bad spirits to
enter the home.
Get to you. Your ancestors are like big warriors around you and protect you in the spirit world, and they won't allow access to you anymore by wicked spirits. So you're protecting yourself.
Okay, one of the questions as well, the same question that the person wanted to know about the house, protecting the house, the home. Is it the same as in protecting oneself?
Again, if you're having paranormal activity, if you're afraid, if you a lot of people are in deep fear. I get calls in the middle of the night, people being attacked by bad spirits. I tell them what to do, but go and turn on that ancestral altar. And tell your ancestors what's bothering you, and nothing. Be it a priest who thinks he's got so much power and threatens to kill you. In Ghana, this happens all the time, or in Togo. No, nothing can bother you when your ancestors are there protecting you.
There you have it. Okay, I'd like to say thank you again, and we will bring you back in the near future. And Tower hats again, and Wadu.
I'll see you, my brother, my sister.
Okay.
Very well, thank you. Peace.
All right. This is the Breaking the Spell show here on Omega, and I know you enjoyed that interview so much, and we got to bring him back because I'm looking at on the screen here under the listeners.